Introducing Track Limits, motorsport talk show where we talk all things motoring. We've got Deval, John, Josh, Philip, and yours truly, Dominic, here in the booth. So first talking point for episode 1, we'll be talking about F1 with Haas livery, the Red Bull battle, Ocon is back, and what's new for Formula 2. Stay tuned. And we're back. We're going to start off things with the Haas livery, the VF20 design for this year. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm just going to say it. I think it's a bit of a copy from the Brawn GP livery, but in red.
Which parts?
Everything red needs to be green, and then you've got the Brawn GP livery.
I like it.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with I like it. It's the best one they've done yet.
It's better than the rest, but the bar was kind of low.
I must say, I did see a meme on Instagram yesterday, and it's almost a carbon copy of the Porsche Le Mans livery from last year.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it hopefully the trend continues. It was a winning livery with Porsche, so we'll see if
Haas will not win. Haas will be lucky to get in the top 10.
I'm just pleased that they moved
I think
from black and gold, to be honest.
It wasn't great, was it?
No. Didn't stand out, didn't have any heritage to it at all. It's just copy and paste from other teams that I just don't think ever did anything for Haas.
But wasn't that mostly Rich Energy's input? We want this, we like this, so let's do it again.
I don't feel like you can take advice from Rich Energy.
When you're paying lot of money, you probably can.
Yeah, but was it their CEO that posted a picture of the milk float with a Haas logo on it?
Yeah.
I feel like that was quite a decline in friendship, wasn't it, between Haas and Rich Energy?
Very soon after they agreed terms, they were thinking, actually, maybe not. You're not the people we thought you were.
I won't go as far as to say they're punching above their weight, because Haas is a world-renowned brand, but they started well with the VF16.
They're relatively small in terms of
their opening race in Australia that year. With,
their first season was probably
the best.
Yeah. But they were relatively quite good. They're a small F1 team, aren't they?
Yes.
When we're talking about in the grand scheme of F1,
they're punching way above their weight.
Able to punch above their weight when they get it right.
But how much of their car is theirs and how much is Ferrari parts that they buy in?
We don't know what the agreement is.
There's a lot of Ferrari kit in that car.
It's up to where it's about legal, isn't it? They just buy everything that they can and then design stuff in-house that they can't.
Yeah, that's probably the best way of entering Formula 1 if you're going to do it anyway. But it's still a bit...
Another thing is, where is the headquarters for Haas? Is it in the UK?
That's right next to ProDrive on the M40.
Right, so there isn't much carryover with Maranello.
No.
So there's transfer of parts and staff, there's not direct as it, Mercedes is just down the road from everyone else. So that's another big thing. They do have an uphill battle. And
well, the aerodynamics of the Haas are from Dallara, which is an Italian company. I think based relatively close to Maranello. So
yeah, that's a good point.
I could imagine someone takes a wrong turn at Ferrari and accidentally parks at Dallara, potentially, and that is what results the VF20.
Yeah. Another thing about punching above their weight is with their driver lineup. That is quite interesting.
Punching, yes.
They had a chance,
Each
didn't
other?
they?
A lot of punching.
They had a chance. Grosjean just punches everyone.
Yes.
With his car.
He's quite hot-headed as well.
I think they had a chance, didn't they, to sign Hulk?
Yes.
And
they should have.
Despite the whole Hulk and Magnussen relationship, I think it would have ended up quite well. That would have been maybe the best decision they've made.
Would have been a good lineup.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think
you can rely on Hulk to give you good finishes,
consistent,
even if the car is a dog to drive. So.
And you can rely on Grosjean for flashes of brilliance combined with complete just ignorance.
Whoa, track limits.
As much as I dislike Grosjean as a driver, he does still stand out to me as very good when it comes to development. Because I think it was early on last year he was saying that no, this aero package is wrong. It's the wrong direction we want to be going in as a team. Let's go back to the original spec that we had first.
Yeah.
Magnussen carried on with the new spec. Neither really worked. No one had a clue what they were doing in terms of direction. But Grosjean was the first to say
something's
wrong. And at the end of the season, with hindsight, you actually look back at it and think, yeah, he was right. And it's not the first time he's done that as well.
And I suppose he's got, 4 seasons with them now? So it's
Oh yeah,
this will be his 4th season with them.
Him
It's going
and
to be
Gunther
consistency,
are
isn't it?
He showed faith in them from the beginning, so I think they're
Yeah.
probably showing faith to him through what has been quite a difficult year in 2019.
Sort of unrelated to what I've got written down here. I cannot wait for Gunther Steiner to be back on
Yes.
Netflix Drive to
Netflix
Survive.
That will be
bunch
epic.
of wank.
The
Countdown is on.
hero of the series for me, Gunther Steiner.
He's a character, isn't he?
Yes.
Like just as a person, he's
It's kind of brought some of that flair from the 70s and 80s back, just in one person, hasn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Where's he from?
He's from the Italian mountains.
I was going to say, I feel like he's got this Italian passion
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
coming
that's
coming
through with an
I feel like
American,
it's the German border, so he has got a little bit of that
little bit of German.
German-esque type mentality mixed with that Italian fire that he's definitely got.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I just want to
It
go back
works
to the
well.
driver lineups. Speaking of Haas, with relation to the midfield battle with Renault and McLaren,
they're behind.
you think so?
Yeah,
I don't think you can comfortably say that. I think McLaren are going to I think they're going to lay their claim down for 4th.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they might even start to be moving into their own
I
kind of
think
little group,
McLaren
potentially.
bridging the gap in the right direction. Renault kind of fell back this year. Haas dropped down to Williams. By the end of the season, they
Yeah.
were closer to Williams than they were
Yeah.
8th,
They're always
But
strong
that-
starters, aren't they?
But again, it
except
is.
Australia. Don't
partly
forget the
to do-
tyres.
I would say it, again, it's partly to do with budget, because after a certain point in the season, and you know you're not going to improve depending on what the points deficit is, people start focusing on the next year's car, and you don't get. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. But you don't get your pay pack for the next season until how many years down the line?
I think it's delayed by about 18 months to 2 years.
Right.
Something like that.
There you go. So, with that in mind, you know, it is a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we watching and you guys at home watching are, you know, it's a lot to take into account.
And I suppose as well, we've got a big change coming up as well at the end of this season with massive rule changes.
Oh, yes.
So are people going to be swapping their focus a little bit earlier than
A lot
usual?
earlier. I mean, Mercedes, I was watching a video quite recently, and the Mercedes 2020 car was already in the foundations before the 2019 car even ran on the track. It was literally from the beginning. It's had over a year of development
Yeah.
in its own right. So I'm sure Haas, maybe not at that level, but certainly probably mid-season when they did realise that the car didn't have the potential that they could extract, they probably thought that at that point it's better to focus on 2020.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So I can definitely
Sure.
see. I can definitely see where I would imagine they would improve on last year, based on the fact that they had such a terrible 2019. It's only up from here.
And in terms of driver relationships between, you know, within the teams, I mean, Carlos and Lando are absolute bros. The bromance there is unreal.
I think they're my favourite 2 drivers
They're
on
my
the grid.
that is must
They are
be
good.
the best
They're
lineup.
good.
Probably I would go as far as to say in F1 history. They're just the coolest pair.
When you say that, as in the best one to watch their relationship, or
Yeah.
the best drivers,
Their relationship.
the
The
relationship.
best
They're the-
off track.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're very good for the team, aren't they?
And I think that will continue on track. As much as they're both racers on track, and they're very cutthroat racers, there's a lot of respect and fun between them. And I think that, you know, that never existed with Rosberg and Hamilton, although they were good mates.
Emphasis on were.
Well, there you go.
Were probably not R.
Definitely
no,
not.
chance.
Yeah.
Not
I was
since.
I watched a video the other day of when, I think it was 2008 Australia, and Hamilton won, and Rosberg, it was his first time on the podium, and they were on the podium together, and in the cool down room afterwards, they were so happy for each other. They were embracing and like hugging, and it was like totally different to what we're used to from 2016. It was polar opposites.
Back when they were
So I
happy
think
to be
they
racing.
fell
each
out
other.
of love with each other
What, when they both
when
got
they
to the top?
started to actually have to
Win.
beat each other.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then the other driver battle, which is going to be new for this year, with Hulkenberg and Ocon. Ocon being back.
Not Hulkenberg, Ricardo.
Their track limits. There you go. Another error.
He's run wide.
Ocon is back. Dom,
Ocon is back. Yes.
he's your favourite man, isn't he?
He's my favourite man. He's such a cool cat.
He is, I think, the nicest chap ever to grace the Formula One paddock.
He's had a very hard life as
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
Really tough beginnings.
Definitely.
To-
They lived in a caravan, didn't they?
Pure talent.
Pure talent. And just on spirit alone, he deserves to be there. I mean, he's such a cool guy.
Yeah, definitely. Should should he be where he is, or should he be in a Mercedes?
That's the thing. If Mercedes really backed him as a driver, like they should be doing with their driver program, look at Wehrlein, they should get rid of Bottas for him. Like, I like Bottas. He's all right. They got a good relationship, Hamilton and Bottas. But why have they not replaced Ocon and with Bottas with Ocon? Why do they not rate him?
They didn't want to unsettle. I suppose they didn't want to unsettle what they've already got going with Hamilton and Bottas. Because yes, Bottas is not as good as Hamilton. We can comfortably say that. Do we all agree?
But they have a very good relationship.
Excellent. They do have a very good relationship, and they do work well as a team.
Good pairing.
And they don't want that to go away. Because if you bring an uncertainty in, you don't know where Ocon is going to be in relation to Hamilton.
So does this bode well for the Williams man that's currently in line for the throne?
I think George
Russell
Russell's got a very bright future ahead of him. But you can kind of get the sense that they were trying to give Ocon a way back into F1, but you can't help but get the feeling that they had their eyes set on George Russell all along.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Who do you think's going to make it to Mercedes first, Russell or Ocon?
Russell.
I'd say Russell.
Russell's going to have, I think, maybe they might even take Russell for the new rules.
Probably, yeah.
I think it would be a good transition.
It would be a good transition.
Do you not think?
I thought it's hard to compare him.
It depends what Hamilton does. Because if Hamilton,
they might take both of them.
Track limits.
Sorry, if Hamilton leaves, then they might take Bottas and have.
That would be a weird lineup.
It would be a strange one.
It would be a very strange one.
But probably a very good one for Russell because he's coming in fresh. Probably thinks he's better than Bottas.
We know he's quick from GP2.
We know he's quick from GP2.
Or is it Formula 2?
GP2 at the time,
yeah.
GP2. I think the Ocon Renault thing is kind of match made in heaven. You know, the whole French connection thing, getting Ocon back into F1, the unknown entity next to Ricciardo.
Will that make Ricciardo feel like an outsider again, like he did at Red Bull? If you've got that French
adaptable.
love.
He is adaptable, Ricciardo.
But he'll only give up, a small amount before he starts seeing.
Yeah, true.
The relationship change. Ocon can speak French, which is obviously like the first thing you think of, and it's a bonus because I think the engine division's in France, so he'll have a close connection with them. But it's not good. I don't think it would be a case of they give special engines to Ocon.
No.
It wouldn't be like that. And I think Ricciardo's sensible enough to know that sort of thing. He shouldn't be worried about that sort of stuff before the season's even got going.
But the point I'm trying to make is more of, you kind of have that face when you think of Citroen, you think of Sebastian Loeb. When you think of Honda from the 80s, you think of Senna. You get what I mean? So maybe that could be their way back into. But
Senna's Brazilian and Honda's Japanese.
Yeah.
Is that the what connection?
Wasn't
he
Senna
drove a Honda
responsible
engine?
for
He did. Yeah, I suppose.
The Honda
He
connection.
did bits in a
McLaren.
Honda.
I know he did bits in a Honda. He did bits in whatever he got in. But
Yeah,
I mean, with you say Loeb is French
Loeb is French
and Citroen is
and
French.
Citroen is French.
That I can see. There's a big connection there because they're both French.
But when I think of Honda engines in F1, I think of Senna, not Prost.
Oh,
think of
100%.
Alonso.
Yeah, I don't think of
Well-
Alonso. In fact, yeah. When I mention Honda F1, what is that comes first to your mind? Is
First
it
thing that
is
comes
it
to mind.
first thing Senna Honda dominance, or is it Jenson Button and Alonso fighting for last place?
What I think of when I hear Honda in F1, I think of Ayrton Senna.
I think of Alonso, but then I would cast back to Senna.
Back to Senna.
It's just more of like a
Yeah.
a recent
So
thing, isn't it?
maybe that could be a marketing thing that Renault are trying to, and also help him back into F1. Ocon is a raw talent.
Yeah, definitely. So
who do we
What-
put our bets on though? Ricardo.
I'm
or
going to say
Ocon?
Ricardo, just because Ricardo's
He's got that experience.
he's got the experience.
He knows how to drive a car.
I think Ocon's gonna give it absolutely everything.
Oh, he will.
Yeah, he will.
And I think that's going to be. I think by mid-season, probably from Spa onwards, I would expect
them to be
Ocon
pretty close,
to be
or maybe even better.
in front of him.
Yeah.
Probably consistently in qualifying, I think. Maybe not in the race. I'd say he'll win the qualifying battle, Ocon. But then what happens
Small
after
mistakes along the way,
that?
and
He
he'll just
could
lose
get
out.
himself into trouble. And Sergio Perez is
He was
still
called
on track.
O-consistent though, wasn't he? In his season with Perez
Yeah.
at Force India. Don't want to bring that up to. I know you have.
I'm going to put my
Yeah.
money on. I think Ocon for the first half, Ricardo
The
for
thing
the
is,
second half.
he's got an incredible work ethic. I went to watch the British Grand Prix 2017, and Perez, with his pre-race kind of personal warm-up, everyone has their own routine that they get into. Perez likes to get in the car at the last minute. He's not around, he's in his own trailer. Ocon was there long before qualifying started. He's walking around waving at everyone. He had headsets on talking to engineers. He's just so much more open, and he's more talkative. He's more engaging
involved
with the team. Whereas Perez is very, very secretive. He comes in at the last minute, doesn't say much, helmet on, and gets straight out.
I suppose that would be.
He's got a much different work ethic.
I suppose that would be
most
similar
people.
to Leclerc. He likes
Yeah.
to sit and watch the car
Yeah.
before a race. He likes to sit next to it, watch the mechanics, see if
Watch
there's any
mechanics.
problems.
Yeah.
If there is, he's aware of it. Whereas
It's almost like he's a part of the car,
Yeah.
rather than driving it. And I think that's really cool for fans, for people watching, and just from a driver point of view. I think that's really, really a big plus.
yeah, I'd agree.
On to the next one then.
Yeah.
Right,
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
The big talking point.
I've got here Max Verstappen versus Alexander Albon, key stats. And when did Albon start in, was it Belgium?
It was from the season
From the
break,
season,
so
so
Belgium.
right.
Yeah.
And for the whole of the rest of the season last year, I don't think we had a representative head-to-head
No.
between them both.
No, we haven't.
Well, you've got Albon, who had his rookie year, got promoted to the big team, and he's just kind of been jumped through it all. He's not really as
He's already had time to
experienced.
settle.
Yeah,
So
he's not had a full
Well,
season with anyone yet.
it was a 7-0 whitewash on qualifying for Max Verstappen, and I wouldn't expect anything
that's-
different.
He wasn't as far off as Gasly was, though.
No, he
He
wasn't.
jumped in and he was bridging
He was a
that
bit
gap.
closer, yeah. I mean, Gasly, we won't bring up.
There's a reason he got demoted.
We'll talk about Gasly at Toro Rosso, where he really does perform quite well. He's got his podium this
Amazingly.
year, and it's like a different Gasly to the one that,
We saw against Verstappen.
yeah, bless him. We had Max Verstappen finish ahead 5 times
Compared to 2.
compared to 2 times that Alex Albon finished ahead. Share of points: Max Verstappen 97, Alexander Albon 76.
That's not that bad. 97 to 76.
No, but we had retirements, didn't we? We had retirements from Verstappen at Belgium.
Oh yeah.
He let it
Yeah.
slide a little bit at the end of the season, didn't he, Verstappen, with a few of his retirements. So and Albon kind of finished every race, really. But the qualifying gap, we've got Japan. It was pretty much zero
Yeah, he
seconds.
equalled his time.
He equalled the time, didn't he? But then, I mean, down here we've got
Half a second
second,
at Mexico.
4.5 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths. It's
The battle with Ocon and Perez initially, I'm pretty sure that was 5-6 tenths, and then Ocon started beating him near the end of the season. And even the same Verstappen against Ricardo, he was about 5-6 tenths off, and then started beating him by another 2 tenths by the end of the season as well. So
But is that Verstappen going quicker, Ricardo going slower,
I think Ricardo's
or constant? And
your constant. Verstappen, I don't know. Was it that big a gap? I think it was maybe not that big a gap. 5 to 6 tenths.
maybe at most it may
But
have
the-
been 5-6.
But I would have said like comfortably 3
Yeah.
tenths, and then he would, when it got to the point where they parted ways, Verstappen was always a bit,
Yeah,
2 tenths.
2
I would have
tenths up.
said consistently ahead of Ricardo. So yeah, that's a 5 tenth swing, isn't it? Possible.
And comparing that 5 tenth swing with Albon and Verstappen against Gasly Verstappen, I'm pretty sure the Gasly Verstappen gap at the beginning of the season last year was more than half a second. So it's going to be an interesting battle at Red Bull. And Alex Albon, he's a lovely guy. He's he's in it for the sport. He's a driver.
he is.
I mean, he's more humble than Hamilton.
Everybody's more humble than Hamilton.
He actually knows how to play down a good result.
Who?
Albon.
Well, yeah.
He definitely comes across like he always wants to improve. Like he can't. It's almost like he can't have a good race. There'll always be something he could have done better, which I think is a great mentality.
Very calm, very mild, very measured in all of his responses ever.
Yeah.
I think I liked him from the moment where in testing he went out on his outlap and spun it, and then came back and laughed about it on the
he's
camera.
like, I knew I was going to spin it.
Yeah,
and he goes,
you're like,
"Spins it,"
oh, I like the guy. He's
Genuine.
yeah,
genuine.
Instantly.
Then again, what else could you do? Beat yourself up, look annoyed.
And super quick and aggressive.
he's very aggressive.
He made some of the top moves of the season. Last year.
Definitely. I feel like, he watched, didn't he, Helmut Marko be rather scathing of Gasly's ability to overtake and attack, and then he's got this opportunity, so he's like, right, I have to go for this. I've got to go for this, otherwise
The sky's the limit.
otherwise I'll get axed as well. So
I mean, Red Bull can only axe so many drivers. They haven't got many in the waiting list.
no,
So
they've not.
they're running out of people they can throw out of the car and then put in replacements.
I really did think Kvyat would be the one to get the opportunity, but I suppose he's not had the opportunity.
I'm not sure.
He's
Yeah.
had the opportunity once before.
And he's not going to get a second
No.
chance. Not with Helmut Marko at
No,
the helm.
it's
So
cutthroat, isn't he?
the next question is, what do you think they're going to do in Australia?
I would really dearly love them to see them turn up and have maybe Max Verstappen be able to put it second or first by just a tenth. But I would love that. But what I think will happen is, and I'm going on history here,
Yeah.
they'll turn up and they'll be half a second off the pace, and they'll just sit in 5th and 6th.
I feel like the characteristics of the track itself, Melbourne, it doesn't lend itself to that Red Bull in history.
Yeah.
Other than maybe perhaps the exhaust blend diffuser Red Bull with Vettel at the wheel.
But then you've got to think about, even when we move away from Australia, the last few seasons, Red Bull have always been 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 races late to the party, haven't they, at the front?
They've got good development.
But they have really good development.
It's usually if
They
they
don't turn up day one.
Do it earlier, man.
From Monaco onwards, their season really kicks on, and then they become challenges for race victories and consistency and podiums and all that.
I
stuff.
like
But
to
it's a bit too late.
think that they're going to be battling for second in the constructors, not because they're going to hit the ground running like we want them to.
Because
Ferrari's going to go backwards, I reckon.
I thought you were going to say, I don't think at the moment Albon is the teammate for Verstappen to take the championship challenge to Mercedes.
No, he's in development.
So
he needs more
I think
experience.
if they're going to win a championship, it's the drivers' championship with Max Verstappen. I don't think unless the car's rapid.
But what if they're using that driver partnership to then get the car ready for the rule change next year? And hit the ground running with the rule change, as Mercedes did with the hybrid era.
You can be pretty confident that they're already working on 2021.
As Lewis
with
Hamilton
most
said
teams.
on a Top Gear episode when he first moved to Mercedes, if you start with a bad package, even if you have all the development, you're only going to be so good. But if you start on the right foot with the same development, you can be so much better. So maybe we could see another Red Bull dominance in 2021.
I
You
don't
never know.
want that. I want them all to be.
I want them all to be closer, yes, but think of it from a team perspective.
Yeah,
You
no,
want
they're there
have
to
all
win, aren't
the
they?
cards in your pocket.
Yeah.
As long as they're not stuck behind each other, struggling to close gaps, then I suppose it's going to be better
Okay.
racing.
The
I mean, you're
cars
still going
need
to
to
have
be
it to
able to follow,
some extent. Like some tracks like Monaco is one line only. Really, there's only a few overtaking spots. If you changed Monaco's track and put in more corners like Rascasse, where you have to jink to the left to brake, and then someone could send it up your inside,
Like
I
Leclerc
think
did
that
last
would.
year. Cheeky that was.
I think it would improve
I
the
mean,
track.
he sent it.
He sent it in a big way. I mean,
Full
he's tried to send it everywhere, and it kind of came back to bite him, didn't it? A little
Yeah,
bit.
it worked once or twice, only just, and then it just went downhill from there,
Yeah,
driven by frustration.
definitely. Right, shall we move on to this this prediction time.
Yes, prediction time.
Prediction time.
So
I want predictions from all on Drivers' Champion and Constructors' Champion. But actually, let's go for a prediction and a hope, because a prediction and hopes are two very different things. And I think we can all agree that I'm hoping for something different, but what I would predict is probably not what I hope for.
Okay.
So, shall we go on the table?
let's go for you, John.
On that basis, my prediction, though not a hope, definitely not a hope, but my prediction: Hamilton for for world champion, Mercedes for constructors. It's been done time and time again. It's the easy option. I want to win this challenge. My hope, though, I would love to see.
I know which two drivers you're thinking of as well, I think.
Probably. Let's go for Leclerc's probably got a better chance than Verstappen.
This is a hope. This is a hope, not a prediction. You've had your prediction. Now's what you want.
Now's the hope. Yep.
I hope for Leclerc to win drivers, Red Bull to win constructors, because I like Red Bull's team philosophies, but I like Leclerc.
That is a very interesting. Yeah.
If you put Leclerc in a Red Bull, I'd love it.
I don't think that will happen.
No,
Unfortunately.
he's far too classy for that. Far too classy for that.
Josh, any
What about you,
thoughts?
Josh?
Predictions. Well, your head says Hamilton. The messages he's posting on Instagram, not like that's a perfect, barometer of someone's mood, but he seems like he's pretty
Even more fired
ready.
up.
Motivated, isn't he?
He's pretty
raring
ready.
to go.
He could be motivated in that it's his last year, and he wants to go out on a high, equal Schumacher, or he is just motivated just to prove that he is an all-time legend. So I'd say Hamilton is probably best placed. The cars are always going to be consistent. It's going to be reasonable. To say to put it mildly.
It's going to be a challenger, isn't it? Definitely.
But yeah, my hopeful, and then constructors with that would be Mercedes, because Bottas. I rate Bottas. I think Bottas is a very good driver. He's obviously not quite at the level of Hamilton, but he's certainly going to take race victories this year. He was unlucky not to the year before. My hope would be for Leclerc, because for me, I think he is the next Hamilton. I think he's the one that's going to bring it to Hamilton. I think if Hamilton continues, I think he's probably the next driver that thinks like him. I think Verstappen's is his own driver, his own sort of style, but I think Leclerc follows the trajectory of Hamilton.
If anyone's going to challenge Hamilton, it probably will be Leclerc.
And I hope so too. And then there's a world champion constructors. Usually it goes the best car, the best driver wins in the best car. So I'd say Ferrari to be constructors.
That's what you hope for.
That's what I'd hope for.
What about you, Deval?
I think I'm going to agree with John on this. I think we have seen, obviously, numerous times in the past that the pattern is that the blessed man in motorsport will be world champion once again, and Mercedes, the three-pointed star, will be constructors champions. And what I hope for in teams is Red Bull to win the championship. I think they're good, and I think they have what it takes. And for the drivers' world champion, I think
Hope.
I hope.
Hope.
I hope.
Hope or predict?
I hope
And pray.
and pray
That's not Hamilton.
it's Leclerc.
Oh.
That's 3 in a row. So
That's 3 in a row so far.
Leclerc's got a fan base.
Go on then, Dom.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go with Ferrari as my prediction. I would like to see them be more consistent in terms of the drivers, with Leclerc and Vettel playing into each other's hands a bit more. I think Vettel's kind of not been himself last season. He's shown some sparks of brilliance back to his Red Bull days, but I'd like to see him doing a bit more. But that's my prediction for the world champion as a constructor. And and no one else mentioned as a best to the rest, but as a prediction and a hope, I would like to have Carlos in there as well. As you may even potentially have him
maybe outscore one of the other drivers in one of the big three. You could potentially have
Definitely
Carlos
different.
and Albon fighting for drivers' championship.
It's
Is
definitely
this
a
your
hope.
prediction?
This is a hope.
Oh, I see.
This
Right.
is definitely a
He
hope.
said both hope and prediction.
Well,
I
I'm
definitely
lost.
heard you say the words predict and then
Hope.
Carlos Sainz and Albon.
Okay, well,
I think hope.
okay, yeah, that's a hope.
He's a
I'd
very
like to see
optimistic
them.
man.
Yeah, but I think McLaren are on a roll. But that's my predictions. And as a hope, I'd like to see the big three just closer together. That's all.
Just the big three.
Just
I think
the big three.
we all
I don't
share
want
that.
I don't want to have one team just disappearing in the distance again.
I agree.
So-
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. What about you, Phil?
So let's go for predictions first. This is going to be the bit where I copy all your homework. Hamilton and Mercedes, I predict, will be the world champions of drivers and constructors. I hope to see Ferrari back at the top with Leclerc as world champion. That's what I want. I think that's what quite a lot of people want as well.
I mean, can you imagine like if Ferrari win?
Remember when he won at
How
Monza?
crazy.
Everyone went nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was at Monza.
one of the
as well.
best moments
No.
of the year. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the passion that
Was it a week after
Italy
Spa?
has.
It was a week later.
Yeah, it was a week after, obviously,
a week after Spa,
his debut win and
and winning it for.
I mean,
for
that felt
Antoine
like his
Hubert.
debut
Rest in
win.
peace.
It felt like it was his
yeah,
first
it-
race victory.
Yeah, it was deserved.
Everyone went mental.
And after already driving a Harto at Spa for other reasons.
he won there as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So it was 2 wins in a row.
Yeah, it was match made in heaven. I mean, that was perfect.
Definitely.
So if you can do that at every race this year,
Yes,
that's what I'm looking for.
yes.
That's what I expect.
Likely, but nice to dream.
I've read somewhere actually that Ferrari have been having some problems with their car, and I've read that they've now
Yeah.
been solved. And then I've heard that Mercedes are having engine gremlins. What a load of
I'm
rubbish!
pretty
Can't
sure they
they
said
fit
the
in
same thing last
They
year.
probably paid someone to write that, haven't they?
Do you reckon that gremlin is not being able to fit enough sand in the engine?
Potentially, yeah.
Running out of space to put it.
Anyway, so I think that's F1
Yeah, that's F1.
rounded up.
Yep. Big talking points for upcoming season in terms of F2.
I'd like to talk about, obviously you've got that name Schumacher in there, and he wasn't in a car last season. He was in the Prema, and it obviously wasn't a championship winning car at all. He's come from his European F3 Storm Championship, where he won, I think, every race in the second half of the season or something ludicrous. Came in to F2 and had a pretty good season. Nothing too exciting, but impressive. And then we've got last year's FIA Formula 3 champion Robert Schwartzman coming in to the Prema team in F2 to partner Michael Schumacher. Whoops, the other one, Mick Schumacher. And I think that should be quite good, and hopefully Prema can produce a car that sees them running more towards the front than they were this season. They've been teammates before, back in the 2018 European Formula 3, where we had Schumacher. Let me just see. Schumacher had 365 points, and then Robert Schwartzman in third with 294. And it was, I mean, Robert Schwartzman's a little bit younger than Mick Schumacher. I just think it'd be a really good battle, and I think,
The battle to watch for this year
Yes.
in F2.
and obviously there's talk of Schumacher stepping up to F1, and I think if he is going to do that, he needs to put this to bed. He needs to be
has
the
to,
one
And
that
he
comes
needs
out
to
on
show
top.
up this year.
If he doesn't, then that's his F1 prospects, pretty much.
He needs to show up every
Finished.
race this year, and you know.
And I'm thinking that Schwartzman's going to deliver big time, because seeing some of his highlights from Formula 3 last year, he is impressive, to say the
Very
least.
impressive.
So I'm looking forward to monitoring that one.
I think there's going to be fireworks up and down the F. I mean, F2 is always a great watch.
Do you know what? I'm so glad that Latifi's not there anymore. just
he's now
he's
in
now
the,
so
Premier
old.
League.
He's been forced into
F1.
F1. Daddy's pockets
That's
a little
cool.
bit lighter
Yeah.
now.
Sponsored.
How do we think that's going to go? Russell,
Russell all
Latifi.
the way.
Russell's got experience on Latifi.
Wipe the floor with
There's
him.
a reason he's not made it until now.
Yeah, I think F2 should be good this season.
I wouldn't have ever expected him to get into F1. I'm impressed he's got there. When I say impressed, I mean sort of
Surprised.
But
He's
I
definitely.
do believe that Stroll gets a hard time of it,
I'm
and he's
gonna
in a similar situation. So
I'm gonna weigh in
if
and
he
say
can
that
do-
Stroll's proved himself. He's got front row quali
Exactly.
in the wet at
Exactly.
Monza and a podium, which is more than Hulkenberg ever got.
Exactly.
So
I think that he still gets a hard time for it. So
Oh, he
I
does.
can only imagine what Latifi will have to go through this year. So I just think he needs to prove on a race by race basis that he can at least compete with George Russell. Not necessarily. I mean, we don't know what the Williams is going to be like.
No, we don't know.
So we're going to have to wait and see.
can hazard a guess.
Well,
As long as they're moving in the right direction,
Yeah.
I'd be happy with them.
Even if they're still going to be in the same position on the grid, they need to be closer to the rest of the field.
Yeah,
They
that's what I mean.
Hands down, you can't have
I'd like them to turn
a
up.
second plus off the back of the field.
Well, that's step one of a good season. You've got to start on the right foot.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go that for a target then for
Yeah, let's make a
Williams.
target.
Williams, this is our target for you.
From the track limit team,
To you,
Turn up on
you
time.
need to by the end of pre-season testing have completed all 6 days of pre-season testing. There you go.
But days are split into 2 parts, so both parts of each day.
Both
so
parts,
12.
both parts of all 6 days.
Good luck.
yeah,
Yeah.
We're rooting for you, Williams.
Come on,
Sincerely
Claire and the
from-
gang.
Sincerely from the track limits team,
We want you back.
we want you back. I think that's a perfect way to end episode 1 of the track limits motorsport talk.
Yeah.
We will see you at episode 2.